One more way of thinking about this shift is in terms of its impact on or reshaping of the marketing funnel. Now, the marketing funnel is a tool that's used by businesses all over the world as a way of thinking about their marketing objectives and the tactics they're going to apply to them. It actually dates back to psychological research from the 1920s into what's called the hierarchy of effects. And it really is a psychological model, and that's why the marketing funnel is still applicable or can be used even as the context around it and our behaviors change quite dramatically. Because you still, as a business, need your customers to go through these different psychological stages. The first goal, of course, you need to achieve awareness. People need to know that you exist as a business or your new product is now on the market. And then you need, once you get some people to the stage of awareness, you need as many of them as possible to come to the stage of consideration. That's where they see the value in your product and they consider and say, okay, I can see I might want to make use of this product or service or this business. Then, of course, you want as many of them as possible to the stage what's called preference. This is when you decide the company you want to do business with or the product you intend to buy. It's typically measured by marketers as purchase intent. But of course, as good marketers, we know there is a difference between purchase intent and actual purchase. And that's why in the funnel model, there's another stage, which is action. From preference to action. Action is to buy, but maybe also to subscribe to a service, maybe to cast a vote, if, say, this was being applied in political marketing. It's that key action you're trying to drive as a marketer. And we can use this marketing funnel, and we have, to understand and think about the impact and the use of a variety of traditional marketing tactics, pre-digital, if you will, broadcast marketing tactics, things like television advertising, things like out-of-home advertising, print magazines, et cetera, direct mail. And they've tended to be applicable or influential at one or more of these different stages of the funnel. For example, television has traditionally been seen as very useful in driving awareness. In fact, it still is. If you are trying to drive awareness very rapidly in a large for a large segment of the population, with maybe a new product or service, if you can afford it, television is certainly a powerful tool for doing that. But let me ask you to reflect, in your own experience, in your industry, in your markets, what do you see happening with these broadcast marketing tools? What's happening in terms of their use and their influence or efficacy in your industry or your market? So the impact of customer networks on these broadcast tools is varying depending on the markets, but in a lot of cases, businesses are finding, depending on which customer segments you're trying to reach, some of these broadcast tools, things like print advertising, are simply not reaching, for example, a younger audience, a more mobile-focused audience. Other cases, in some markets, for example, television advertising is still effective, but actually the price is going up per thousand people you want to reach, even as the audiences are shrinking. So while it is powerful, the efficacy, the efficiency, if you will, per dollar spent is actually declining. But more broadly, what's happening is these tools are still there. They still have a role. But at the same time, we now have these customer network dynamics that are influencing and allow you to influence each stage of the funnel. So if you think of awareness, yes, television was the old way of driving awareness. One of the most powerful ways of driving awareness now, or powerful influencers, is search. Right? People going onto a search engine and looking up an idea or a topic or a product category and discovering a business for the first time. When you get to the stage of consideration, we are very often influenced by product and customer reviews, what other people are saying about this business, what we look up and find, what its ratings are, and what people say about a product we're considering. Then when you get to the stage of preference, if it's a more considered or in-depth purchase, like an automobile or a vacation or even a refrigerator, you're more likely to go to actually people you know and actively reach out to your social network, maybe people you know on Facebook or Instagram. Ask them, hey, has anyone been to this destination recently? Have a recommendation for a hotel? Has anyone bought this refrigerator? I'm thinking about buying it, and I'd love to get some feedback. Right? Then when we get to the stage of action, the actual purchase, there are also more dynamics at play. You might be purchasing still in a physical store, you might be buying online, or it might be digitally delivered to you, or some combination of these. Loyalty has been changed, right? Rather than just having we used to have plastic, key cards which you'd stick on your keychain for your loyalty points when you go to the supermarket or the pharmacy. Now there's so many different ways, particularly with social media, that businesses can keep in touch with a customer and keep that communication going and hopefully nurture and sustain that relationship. But the biggest change actually to the marketing funnel, because of customer networks and their dynamics, is there's actually now one more stage. So once we get as many people as possible to that stage of the first purchase, and then we get as many of those as possible to the stage of loyalty, whether it's an ongoing relationship, we now want to also get as many of those customers as possible to the stage that I call advocacy. These are the people who actually write that customer review on an Amazon, who answer that friend's question on Facebook about the refrigerator, who take that picture of themselves at your vacation destination and share it on Instagram. These are all the people who are feeding in those comments and images and answers and points of view that what happens is, because of the nature of search engines and social media, they wind up reaching up to the top of the funnel and influencing the next customer from the very beginning of their journey, from awareness all the way through. Because in social media and in search engines, what your customers are saying about you is actually much more visible and much more influential than what you're saying about yourself. And so the power of customer networks is really changing and shaping how we get the most out of this marketing funnel.